Welcome to Keep Smiling, the e-commerce customer experience podcast. Selling products online is challenging and can lead to poor customer experiences. Each episode, we explore how entrepreneurs and organizations in e-commerce are delivering delightfully unexpected experiences to their shoppers and customers. Amazon, Shopify, artificial intelligence. We'll discuss what matters today and what you can do to build a better e-commerce business. We'll show you how. Hello, listeners, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ty Walters, and joining me is Michael Melgar.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining.
We're honored once again to have one of our team members, Lynn Zarcone, joining us again today. She was featured on the previous episode, episode 9. She returns today to talk about customer service in part 2 of a comparison between brick and mortar and e-commerce customer service.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Just as a quick recap for everyone, if you didn't listen to our previous episode, Lynn is our process design lead here at SellerSmile. That means that she's in charge of creating processes for us if we're dealing with a really challenging project, or if we have something that we need to get done and it requires a lot of steps. Lynn helps us find our way. We both have a customer service background starting with brick and mortar stores, and this gave us a lot of interesting context in entering the world of e-commerce customer service because it's a very different exercise. We come from speaking to people one-on-one in person versus interacting primarily through email, through chat. And this whole discussion is really what brought us into this two-part series.
We talked about before how Lynn has that sixth sense of customer service. She gets it just like we all do because we've had those experiences of doing customer service in a brick and mortar store. And we've also been pretty tuned into things going on, happening in the online world and the internet. Of course, we're literally doing customer service, but just as a shopper too, you have a sense of how customer service works and operates in the world today in 2019.
It's expectations that your shopper has regardless of what experience they have.
Lynn, thanks again for joining us. How does it feel to be on episode 2?
It's awesome. I like being on number 10. I like nice whole even round numbers. So yeah, thanks.
That's right. Part 2 of episode 10. So Lynn, last time we talked about our experiences in brick and mortar, and you were inspired by a local experience you had. It got you thinking about how customer service in a physical store in the city where you shop has many similarities to what we're doing every day online through e-commerce stores. For this episode, we're going to be diving into a little bit about how people make their purchasing decisions. When it comes to a need that they have, where they need to make a purchase, they need to buy something, how do they decide where to go and why are they making those decisions? So we're not going to be referencing any academic material on psychology or human behavior here. What we did is we got together and from our own personal lived experiences, we came up with the top 3 reasons that we believe consumers and shoppers are going online instead of brick and mortar. Now, as a caveat, we're not saying that online is always the best option. And we're going to cover some of the reasons why we ourselves actually prefer to go into a physical store when it comes down to it.
In some scenarios, at least.
Now, there are a multitude of department stores that we could compare our e-commerce businesses to, but the truth is that sellers need to try to hold themselves accountable to being the Nordstrom of the internet, not the Walmart, especially since you're relying on multiple factors other than face-to-face service to make sure the customer has a good experience. So as a seller, you have to ask yourself why someone is purchasing from you instead of going to Walmart or Nordstrom, and examine how you're able to make them not only want to buy from you again, but then tell their friends about you and leave a good review, because that's your bread and butter.
And although, this podcast is catered primarily to e-commerce merchants, even though you're primarily competing with other online merchants for your buyer's attention, at the end of the day, the factors that we talk about in this episode are these subconscious, almost like factors or steps that your buyer is going through when making their buying decision. They're making a conscious decision to either go online and go to Amazon or go to Chewy or go to Walmart.com or go to any multitude of websites, or deciding to get into the car and drive to their brick and mortar store. So we see all of these factors as maybe not necessarily being what is commonly phrased as customer service, but we almost see it as like a form of proactive customer service, because by offering excellent service and, in these different ways that we'll explore, you're creating a reason for buyers to keep coming back to you over other sellers or other brick and mortar stores.
To say that in another way, if you can design an experience that caters to the factors and the reasons why people make shopping decisions, your customer service is going to take care of itself because people will want to shop there. You're going to create happy, passionate believers in whatever brand you have.
Ty has phrased this to me before as reverse engineering a positive, excellent experience.
Right. So let's talk about the first factor. The first factor is convenience. The dictionary definition of convenience here is fitness or suitability for performing an action or fulfilling a requirement. Something conducive to comfort or ease. A suitable or convenient time. Freedom from discomfort. Lynn and Michael, talk about how shopping speaks to this factor of convenience. Why do shoppers choose convenience? When have you chosen convenience in the past? And how can an e-commerce seller make their shopping experience more convenient?
So the first way that, the most obvious way I should say, that convenience differs between e-commerce and brick and mortar would be literally how far away and how soon can you get something, right? If you live out in the middle of nowhere, or you have a super busy life that, you're running to pick the kids up from school and get the dog to the vet, and husband's out of town and you're running around like a crazy person, or you live in a city and trying to fight your way through traffic to go get something is super hard, then obviously you're going to want to find a more convenient way to get a hold of what you need. It may be more convenient to just walk up to the corner store to grab a soda, but when it comes to buying larger things or more unique things or subscriptions to things, it's easier just to have it delivered to your door. That way, you don't have to worry about it.
And even on a really micro level, even just if we're just thinking about online shopping, I've literally have made the choice to purchase something on Amazon versus another website because I already have an account with Amazon. That sounds lazy, but it's because of the amount of time that I have to actually do certain things. I know that I can get this task completed faster. There's things that I just need to order. I need to make a quick order on Amazon, put everything in the cart and check out, and I'm ready to go. And I can get back to what I was doing versus getting into the car and driving to go pick up all these random things that you might still not find, or even having to look up another website, do some price comparisons, see if they even, take the payment method that you need, and any number of things.
And you think about it, you're at a doctor's appointment and you're sitting waiting in the lobby thinking, oh, I need to run by the grocery store, but I can have Instacart deliver it or something. Now you can even buy your groceries. You can do your everyday shopping right from your phone.
Lynn, I was just going to bring up the Amazon app. I was telling someone earlier the other day that shopping online on Amazon is as easy as using Instagram or using Facebook or whichever app that you use frequently on your phone. It's on the same place. It's really well designed for mobile experience, in my opinion. And someone can shop all of Amazon's selection with one app. Now, think about if you were to consider a purchase from brick and mortar or even consider a purchase from another online platform. Do you have that app? Do you have to go to their website? Is it mobile optimized? Are you going to be on your laptop or your phone? If you're buying directly from a brand, does that brand have an app? Or do you have to navigate their website on a mobile phone and maybe the Shopify site is clunky or at least not as well designed as the Amazon app is? But it's so easy nowadays. And like Michael said, it's convenient. I don't have to sit down and even type in my password. It's just open, I'm logged in, and I'm shopping in only a few seconds.
That's absolutely true. And I think about, on Amazon, the comparison would be like going to a mall and taking, a mall trip it's a trip. You go in and it takes several hours of your day to like walk through the mall, and then you see things you don't need, which you can do on Amazon too. Let's be real here. But it takes like all day, and then you have to lug all your purchases around and get them back to the car and then lug them into your house. Whereas Amazon is like a virtual mall. So it makes it heckin' more convenient.
And I think we all see convenience being heavily influenced by time, right? The amount of time it should take, right? Like you mentioning the app, you're absolutely correct, Ty. I literally use the Amazon app like almost every other day. There's just something that I know like, oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add that to the cart. I don't have to like open my computer. I don't have to even be around my computer. I can literally do it as I'm walking Zelda. I know that that's something that I need. I just open up the app and I'm good to go.
And then they've taken it even a step further with the Amazon buttons. So I have one for my laundry detergent that literally sits on top of my dryer.
Dash buttons.
Yeah, the dash buttons. And every time I notice I'm running low, I can just click the button and it orders it. And it arrives in 2 days because of Prime. I don't even have to go on my phone anymore to go or remember to go order it. It's right there as I think of it.
That is the easy button. There's almost nothing easier than pushing a button, maybe snapping your fingers or blinking or speaking to Alexa, which we know now you can shop through Alexa. So talk about the definition of convenience when it comes to Amazon.
Alexa and the Amazon dash button that you're referring to, those are literally the easiest things that you could possibly do to shortcut having to make a purchase, right? So think about how something like that compares to having to go to a physical store to go do something. Lynn mentioned this on the last episode. Even things that you don't normally think about, like having to drive your car in traffic, then having to find a parking spot, and then having to navigate traffic within the store, all of this stuff, right? And it influences your shopper's decision.
Just a few more points here, guys, and then we're going to transition onto the second reason why shoppers choose one store over the other or one platform over the other. The first one here is that this is all about proactive customer service. If things are more convenient, there's going to be less points of friction. And as we know well, points of friction turn into customer service tickets. There's an issue or there's a problem or there's something that's difficult to do that becomes an inquiry, that becomes a conversation and an interaction that our team is having on behalf of e-commerce sellers. Think about Amazon in the US, how big of a force they are, how significant that is in people's lives. But there is the entire globe available and free. And we need to talk in a global sense here. As of today, we're recording on June 18th, 2019. Amazon is operating in 10 online marketplaces worldwide. We're talking about 4 places in the Americas, North America, including Brazil, 5 different outlets in Europe, ranging from the UK to Spain. They're in Asia Pacific. They're in the Middle East. So when it comes to convenience, there's worldwide convenience because Amazon wants to be on the continent where shoppers are looking to get the selection and the price on these products.
One more thing I wanted to mention about convenience, Ty, is one of the things that you really should consider as an e-commerce seller, especially if you sell on Amazon, is your shipping, right? Because as it's groundbreaking of an update as it was for Amazon to introduce fulfillment by Amazon, right? Like a lot of sellers have a lot of different opinions about that. It can be expensive or what have you. But for your customer, it's going to make a gigantic difference because, when it comes to even my own shopping influence, my own shopping decisions, when I go and search for something on Amazon, I literally just go ahead and check the box of Prime shipping because I don't even want to deal with all the other products that might be even cheaper, but are going to take longer to get to me because, it comes back down to time.
Well, it's funny. I was reading somewhere, I think it may have even been like a meme on Reddit or something, where something will be $28 with free shipping, free Prime shipping, but $26 and you pay $2 for shipping. And people are going to choose the Prime version. Not that there was any price difference whatsoever, but they like Prime. They like having that convenience and that guarantee.
And we've only seen the number of Prime subscribers grow more and more every single year. Definitely do consider the seriousness of how that impacts your shoppers' decisions.
Convenience, we see, is always going to be a factor in a shopper's consideration when they choose to buy something or not, or where they choose to go to buy it. The second reason that we brainstorm together of what matters to shoppers, the second reason that they take into consideration when choosing how, when, and where to shop is price. Now, there are 2 sides to this coin. We see shopping behavior where shoppers are selecting the least expensive option. When many other factors of a product are the same, the delivery time or the packaging or the quality, typically we see shoppers choosing the lower price. However, on the other side, we see a shopping behavior where customers want something that's high quality, premium. Maybe it's a better experience when shopping for it. Aspects like this, when it comes to price, sometimes where we see shoppers moving into this type of behavior towards associating themselves with a higher tier product. Now, Transitioning into e-commerce versus brick and mortar, typically what we see is that lower prices are going to be found online. The common rationale is that sometimes there are less expenses when it comes to selling online. An e-commerce merchant isn't paying as much in handling, in overhead. Maybe there's less fragmentation of their products across a region of brick and mortar stores. So Amazon has engineered this miracle of e-commerce called Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA. There are a network of fulfillment centers across the globe that are all talking to each other in the cloud about millions of different interactions and orders up to the second status. This all drives price down because it takes less to do even more as technology progresses. Not to get too long-winded, but let's imagine this situation. As a shopper, you come to Amazon.com and you're looking for a water bottle. So you type in water bottle and you hit enter or search. Now you see the water bottle you want. You click into that water bottle. You're going to see sometimes multiple sellers on that listing. So you have to make a secondary decision. Which seller are you going to buy this product from? Would you pay $2 more to shop from a seller with a 4.9 star seller feedback rating and 5,000 product reviews versus a seller with a 3.2 star seller feedback rating and 310 reviews? When it comes down to seller feedback and product reviews, the number and the degree of that rating matter a lot to shoppers.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Ty, because price is a common topic in e-commerce discussion. And I think that whenever we talk about it, it's like, oh, well, I can't lower the price. That's like at the best I can put it at for my profit margins. But, we're not saying you have to have a lower price to beat out the competition. That's not necessarily always the case. A higher price isn't automatically a turnoff, right? It's exactly going back to what you were saying, Ty, where I might feel safer paying more because I know that this seller will be helpful. If I do have problems, they're going to provide a non-complicated experience. They're just going to help me, get from point A to point B as quickly as possible.
That, and you might also assume that the product itself is going to be of higher quality. So like if you were buying said water bottle and you saw one that's $5 and you saw one that's $10, depending on other factors, I would be inclined to go with the $10 one, if only because I think it might be a nicer water bottle.
Those are two different ways we're seeing shoppers pay more for. One, an experience. Maybe there's some type of insurance of that experience. Like Lynn mentioned Amazon's A to Z guarantee. If something goes wrong, there's a greater chance they're going to get taken care of. I want to pay more for that experience. That's like buying insurance on a flight or a vacation. If something goes wrong, I'm going to have a better experience in that negative situation than I would if I chose not to spend more or chose to shop somewhere else. But then there's this secondary aspect of price where I want to pay more for a higher quality product. Maybe it'll last longer, or it'll perform better, or it'll just feel or look nicer. Whatever the case may be, it's the quality of the product, and it's also the quality of the experience either before or after buying.
You're essentially passing off the price of a great experience to your customer, and your customers are willing to pay for it.
I love that. Yes.
I mean, everybody wants a good deal, but most people are willing to pay more for a better experience. Since you can't deliver the white glove face-to-face experience they could have at a Nordstrom or another brick and mortar store of higher merit, you can show your value virtually through proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, being able to write correctly. So it feels like they're still talking to a real person. You can use things like canned responses and like templated answers, but you have to do so sparingly and cautiously. You can't just throw a template at everything. Sometimes people need that customized answer or they will get angry. I know I personally cannot stand receiving one of those answers. And even if something is a template, you have to customize small elements of it. And then when it comes to the actual price itself, it also has to do with handling customer dissatisfaction too. So if they've had a rough experience, here's 10% off your next order, 20% off your next order. Or if you buy 5 of our water bottles, since we're going with water bottles, if you buy 5 of them, get the 6th free. If you need a replacement, let me just send that to you at no charge. Don't worry about shipping the old one back. Or if it is something that I need to have back, let me send you a prepaid shipping label for your return. making exceptions for warranty on, if they're just barely like a month outside of warranty, I'm going to take care of you this one time. Making all those kinds of exceptions and letting the customer know that they are special to you and that you are going out of your way to make sure that they have a good customer service experience and will come back and tell their friends about you. You can use your price and things like discount codes to help do that.
Essentially, customer service becomes a feature of your product, which can justify having a higher price.
Michael, you took the words out of my mouth. I think if you as an e-commerce seller want to be in that premium price range, or you believe you have a premium product, or even if you just want to charge more, it's a much better experience. It's a proactive customer service experience to be eloquent with your words, to be generous and kind in your messages that you're writing. Your customer service also has to match that tone of your price and your brand for it to all make sense in your customer's mind. Guys, I didn't tell you I was going to bring up this story, but my favorite soda right now, anyway, is Diet Dr. Pepper. It's something about the flavor. I could drink it all day, and it's just like guilt-free to a degree.
It is delicious.
But it is delicious. I choose to shop at Walmart for this because typically I want it within hours, not 2 days. So that's a convenience factor for me. And there's two brick-and-mortar grocery stores right next to each other. One is a Walmart and one is a Piggly Wiggly. I go to the Walmart for two reasons considering price. One is the price is cheaper. Diet Dr. Pepper compared to Diet Dr. Pepper from Piggly Wiggly to Walmart, I'm paying pennies less, maybe. But to me, that matters. The selection comes in, which we're going to cover in just a second here. Walmart has a greater selection because not only do they have Diet Dr. Pepper, but they have the bargain brand. It's called Dr. Thunder, the off-brand. And Diet Dr. Thunder is half the price or better than Diet Dr. Pepper. So in this case, you can kind of see my shopping decision is heavily determined on the price. Walmart has the best price. I go to Walmart and I buy 4 of them at a time. They're 89 cents each, but it feels great saving that money.
I do the exact same thing with ginger ale, Ty.
Awesome.
Yeah, but see, I'm super picky. And if they don't have the brand that I'm looking for, like root beer. Let's do root beer, for example. I will only drink, which one is it? There's like...
Mug, Dad's, Bargs.
Which is the one that has... One of them has vanilla in it. A&W. What's it called? A&W. I will only drink A&W root beer. End of story. It cannot be store brand, cannot be Barks, it cannot be anything else. I will only drink A&W.
Lynn, in this case, thank you for transitioning us. You're making that purchasing decision when it comes to pop or soda or whatever you call it, based on where can you get the brand that you're looking for. If one store doesn't have it, you're obviously going to the other store. I'm assuming that you buy this at brick and mortar. Do you shop online for your soda?
I don't drink soda, but on the occasion that I do want something like a root beer, I will go to a brick and mortar store. Yes, I will go up to my local Publix, which is another brand loyalty thing, by the way. I prefer to go to Publix because of how clean, and pay more for their product because of how clean they are, how generally friendly they are. I mean, it's where shopping is a pleasure, and how high quality even their store brand products are.
Right. So the third reason that shoppers are making decisions, the third reason they consider when choosing where, when, how to buy is the selection of where they can get that product or that brand they're looking for. Or there's another type of selection. Maybe there's a different variation that they're looking for. So yes, you have this brand of soda, but do you have all 7 flavors? We talk about online today. There's greater competition. There are more brands of products than there have been ever before. A shopper could never have had as rich of a selection as they do now when it comes to shopping in almost any category. So as an e-commerce seller, maybe you're trying to establish a private label brand. With that greater competition, how do you stand out as a brand that people want to do business with? How do you instill that loyalty into your customers? We see that as having a type of selection that's advantageous, something that customers are looking for that they can only get with you, or that there's an aspect of your brand and about that selection that makes them feel good about shopping there. You inspire brand loyalty through your customer service, through how you interact with your shoppers, with your buyers, and how do you make them feel? So guys, we have endless examples of this, but this comes down to differentiating yourself as a brand. Lynn, you can talk about Subarus till you're blue in the face, and I love it because it's cool to see that type of passion from someone. Tell us why Subaru inspires you, maybe some of those reasons or another example, but how is brand loyalty important?
I'm very much a brand loyalty person. I love my luxury goods and I love my brands and I love representing brands, but I pick my brands carefully, and Subaru has won a very, very special place in my heart. I will only ever buy Subarus. When we were looking for our most recent car, it was actually the first Subaru that we ever bought, and I picked Subaru over, we were also looking at Toyotas, we were looking for a mid-size SUV. So we were looking at like a Toyota Highlander or maybe a RAV4, but every single one of the doctors at the veterinary practice I work at drives a Subaru. And when I was like, hey guys, I was thinking about a Subaru, and they're like, yes, here are all the stories of customer service, and here's all the stories of when my friend flipped their car with the baby in the back seat and everybody walked away unscratched. And that's a true story, by the way, in their Forester. The baby wasn't even buckled in properly. You know, they last forever. Subaru loves touting that there are 95 or 97% of Subarus that are 10 years or older still on the road today. They last forever. They are super safe. Great customer service. Every time I walk in there, they stop and they love on my dog. It's dog friendly because I'd bring Letty with me. So even though she's a blonde golden retriever, they stop and crouch down and get blonde hair all over their black slacks on the sales floor. They write me thank you notes for coming in for my annual, or not my annual service, but my regular routine service, even when I don't buy anything. And my buying experience from them was extraordinarily sleek. I walked in there and signed the papers because I had already talked to my sales representative on the phone, and we hashed out the price and picked the one I liked. And he was like, let me get those leather seats installed for you. You can come pick it up tomorrow. We'll sign all the paperwork and you can drive off in it.
Wow. Everything you just said about it. We didn't set out to create a Subaru ad, right? But it's just, that is a perfect example of brand loyalty, right? If someone is a big fan of what you're doing, that is enough justification for your buyers to return and to keep coming back. I've done this with cars. I've done this with like even smaller things like the shoes that I buy or where I buy normal everyday things.
And even like with Subaru, people love shopping for a cause nowadays. So they'll pay the extra $2 or $3 for a product if they think that the brand that they're buying into is supporting something they believe in, whether it's wildlife rehabilitation or helping kids in Africa, whatever it may be. And Subaru is definitely part of that. They actively support nature and the national forests and conservation efforts. They support animal rescues. And I mean, they had a whole ad series with rescue dogs in the cars like families, and it was super cute. And everybody in the community, everybody who owns a Subaru, is proud to own a Subaru. They have these things called badges of ownerships. You get them free, you order them online. You pick what number Subaru, so people can be on their 5th, 6th, 7th Subaru, and then you choose what matters to you. And it's this little line of plastic badges that go on the back of your car underneath where it says, Outback or Forester or whatever. Everybody knows that this is my 6th Subaru, and there's a badge for over 100,000 miles, over 200,000 miles on it, that I love hiking and I love DIY and I love crafts and I love my animals.
It's like a celebration of all these things in your life that you love, and that's being represented by their brand.
It is. Exactly. It's so much fun. As soon as I bought my Subaru, I was like, Daniel, get online. Order this for me. And of course, he got to pick all the badges, so half of them are like football and soccer. But I went back and ordered mine, which includes DIY and painting and a paw print, so that, it really represents our family.
I think that's an excellent example of brand loyalty. And even on my end, even with like normal everyday things, even if it's something that I can go across the street for, because I have there's a Walmart that's just literally like half a mile away from me. Even though I can just get into my car and go do that, I sometimes prefer to just buy those things on Amazon, even if maybe they're like slightly more expensive, because I'm using, for example, Amazon Smile, right? Amazon Smile allows you to support local communities or foundations. It's something so small, such a minor detail, but it's almost like I'm doing something extra, something that makes me feel good. Amazon Smile is creating brand loyalty by offering this option of Amazon Smile.
When we talk about brand loyalty and selection, it's really multifaceted. It's quickly easy to understand that there's so many different ways in which a brand makes us feel or interacts with us in a literal sense when we're visiting their stores or talking to them online, but also in these more abstract senses, like they're supporting the causes that I do or whatever it might be. To get sort of like meta selection on it just a little bit, Subaru, the fact that it exists and what it is and what it represents is in some sense a type of selection because it exists. There's a type of car for this type of person. And there was a point in time when something like that didn't exist. And I'm sure there's gaps in some markets where there could be a product for a particular demographic or psychographic of people. And when you have that type of match, I think that's when you can develop those really strong emotional bonds with your buyers.
And something to mention here is that when we use the word brand, I feel like non-private label sellers might say like, oh, that doesn't really apply to me. I'm not private label. But even so, the brands that you are selling that maybe aren't necessarily your brand, your buyers and how they feel about those brands will influence whether or not they come and shop from you. A good example of that for me is anytime that I've needed to buy a television, I feel like I have to go through this like semi-outdated process of, oh, I'm going to go to Best Buy because that's where they have literally all the televisions that I can think of and all these different brands, right? So I think Best Buy does, in my opinion, an excellent job at being able to do a good job broadcasting the features and the things that make these different brands excellent from one another, while also still providing a great ambiance for themselves as their own store, right? So it's almost like I could potentially have a brand loyalty towards Best Buy, even though they're essentially selling all of these different types of brands.
That's true too. And when you think of it, the joy of some place like Best Buy, or we have Micro Center here, or Fry's, is that they are going to hopefully give you unbiased opinion on their product. Because obviously when I walk into a Subaru dealership, everybody there loves Subarus. When I say, I think I'm going to go with Toyota this time, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. But if I walk into a CarMax and they have every different kind of car on their lot, they're going to try to point me in the best direction for me, not necessarily because they're loyal to a particular brand. When I go into Best Buy, I have loyalty to Best Buy for my electronics, just like Michael does, because I know I can go in and say, hey, I game sometimes, not really. I want a smart TV. It needs to be able to have these apps. And they're going to be like, oh, you need to get this Roku TV. Let's get, a 55-inch this time. And here's this extended warranty through us instead of the manufacturer that lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah, so I think that's a great example of, even if you're not a private label seller, you should treat your storefront, your online storefront, as your brand, right? Not necessarily perhaps the way that we think about brands in a private label sense, but as the way that you're representing yourself to your customers.
You as a seller have a brand and you are selling brands of products.
Exactly.
There's brand interactions going on everywhere. And guys, before we transition and wrap up the episode, I do want to talk to one more point of selection. And we're well aware of how this aspect of selection can influence customer service, especially, I don't want to say especially in an e-commerce sense, but we deal with it quite frequently and it can become a troublesome issue. And that is the issue of going out of stock. This is when one of your items sells out. It's a certain variation. That means it's a certain color or size or design, and you're out of stock. You can't get any more. And what happens? Customers write in asking you about it. The one that they bought last week maybe has a defect or it breaks and they need a replacement. Can we talk a little bit about how staying in stock and maintaining your selection is better customer service?
Yeah. So the whole idea of customer service, the initial part of it is that it's when the customer comes to you because they have an issue, right? By staying in stock with all of your products, your customer isn't coming to you with the basic issue of when are you going to get this back in stock? Heaven forbid they have an issue with the product that they have. You need to get them a replacement, and then you can't get them a replacement. That's like a twofold problem. It's not just because they want to buy it, but because you need to fix your own problem and you don't have the stock to do it.
And we have, like one of our clients, for example, sells a really popular product. And because of that, they tend to go out of stock pretty frequently. And that becomes a problem for them because their customers are literally emailing us saying, hey, when is this going to be back in stock? I really want to buy another one. I have a trip coming up. This is something I want to buy for my trip. Please let me know when this is when this is going to get back in stock. That makes a gigantic difference.
And one of the things I think is really fascinating is we see shoppers holding out, making a purchase, literally preventing themselves from buying what they want because the right variation isn't in stock. They wanted the green one, but only the orange one and the black one are available. That's not a good customer experience. They wanted that color 2 weeks ago, and if you would have had it, they would have already been your customer. So think about ways as a seller how you can ensure that your supply chain stays moving, you're staying in stock. I know financing comes into play with this, and limited financing can sometimes back up your orders and restocking ability, and certainly storage fees and logistics as it pertains to how you're fulfilling your products. But please consider how staying in stock with your items and with more items is a much better shopping experience. It's going to make it smoother for your customer service on the other end of that situation.
Kind of related to that, Ty, I've even come across the problem where the physical store's inventory will vary, like the products that they're actually featuring. So I almost don't have the ability to develop any sort of brand loyalty for that product. And because of that, I end up making the safer choice, in my opinion, of, okay, I've done my research online. I'm going to buy this product. And then I end up coming back to it over and over again.
Yeah, guys, I know we could go much longer on this topic. There's so much to talk about. And I think it's truly interesting, the comparison that we've been doing here between brick and mortar versus e-commerce. How does that matter for the shopping experience, and how does that matter for the customer service that a seller must do? But most importantly, what we're trying to do with these episodes and with this information is to illustrate how a seller today can design their customer service to be a better experience, to be less stressful, to attract customers through word of mouth. We understand in this episode, there's 3 strong factors that shoppers use when making a purchase. Shoppers consider convenience, they consider price, and they consider selection at the time that they need a product and they need to make a purchase. So think about ways that you as an e-commerce seller can be convenient, how you can be fast and easy, how you can have a very good price. Either you're matching your price with your experience, or you're offering something that's highly competitive, all other factors considered. Or think about how you can have the best brand and the best selection. You are offering a product that connects with your customer, but also you're in stock of that product, and the variation that your customer is looking for is ready for sale. Any final thoughts on this topic about why shoppers make decisions and how e-commerce sellers can think about this?
Yeah, to me, these are just some of the things that influence your shopper's decision-making. And there's plenty of others that we can discuss, obviously. But just as a challenge to listeners, this is something that I've begun to do, and I'd like to challenge our listeners to do as well, is when you are out shopping at brick and mortar, or when you are making your own buying decisions online, really pay attention to what is going on and what these companies are doing, because these are things that you might be able to reverse engineer, and it might make a really big difference for your own business.
Right. And like always, if you have your own e-commerce customer service question, you want us to address a topic that's been on your mind, or you just have an interesting idea that you'd like us to cover, submit your question via email to keepsmiling@sellersmile.com.
Disney, Walt Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, the Walt Disney Company in general, some of the best customer service on the planet. And one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney himself with regards to his customer service staff and his vision for them is, they will be people who give, and they like to bring delight to other people, and therefore gain pleasure and satisfaction for themselves. Because truly, making a customer happy, making someone else happy, makes you happy too.
To find the show notes, which includes links to the articles and resources we discussed today, go to sellersmile.com/podcast /010.
If you found this conversation valuable, hit subscribe and you'll get the next episode straight to your device.
Thanks again and keep smiling.